The city of Port Charles awoke to a day heavy with memory, a day saturated with quiet reflection and tears that refused to be contained. Friday's episode of General Hospital wasn't just another installment. It was a heartfelt farewell, a loving tribute to both the iconic Luke Spencer and the remarkable actor who embodied him, Anthony Geary. Every scene seemed to pulse with remembrance, a gentle echo of a man whose presence had shaped lives on screen and off. It all began with a simple, almost ordinary discovery. Lulu Spencer, wandering through the familiar corners of her life, paused when her eyes fell on an old photograph of her father. Time seemed to freeze. Memories both joyous and aching flooded through her in a wave she could not contain. The loss of years she had missed, the grief of never saying goodbye, all pressed against her heart. And in that instant she ran not from her pain, but toward a solace she knew only one person could offer. She ran to Tracy Quartermain, to the sanctuary of the Quartermain mansion. Tracy, ever perceptive, immediately understood the depth of Lulu's sorrow. It was about Lulu, and though Lulu had never been able to grieve him properly, Tracy vowed to help her, to guide her through the maze of memory and loss, to honor a life lived fully, fiercely, and with love. Together they began a journey of remembrance. Their first stop was the church. Candlelight danced softly against the dark wooden pews, casting a gentle glow. Lulu sat beside Tracy, fingers wrapped around the warmth of the flame, but the solemn quiet felt foreign. It wasn't Luke's world. He had never been a man of churches or rituals. Sensing the mismatch, Tracy, with her signature flair, improvised a quick arrangement at the Brown Dog Bar, transformed the dimly lit tavern into a private sanctuary, a space alive with memories. Lulu and Tracy shared drinks, laughter, and tears, honoring Luke in a way that would have made him grin, amidst warmth, camaraderie, and stories that made him larger than life. Meanwhile, Port Charles itself seemed to pulse with the echoes of Luke's presence. Sonny Corinthos stopped by Carly Spencer's home, retrieving a small item left behind by Donna Corinthos, a simple poker chip, yet heavy with meaning. It sparked a wave of nostalgia, memories of chance, of fate, of all the ways Luke had touched their lives. Sonny pocketed it, but true to the city's unpredictable ways, another mysteriously appeared in Carly's purse later, a quiet, whimsical reminder that Luke's spirit lingered. At Laura Collins' office, Elizabeth Baldwin and Laura reflected on Aidan Weber's obsession with finding the perfect car. Laura, wistful and introspective, mused that Aidan's passion must be a fragment of Luke, a subtle, living echo of the man who had inspired them all. Her thoughts drew her outward, guiding her steps to the church. There, in solitude, Laura let herself remember the adventures, the love, the unspoken words. Tears slipped down her cheeks as she admitted softly that Luke had never truly left her. He lived on in the quiet corners of her heart, a constant presence in memory and spirit. Connections intertwined further. Laura stopped by Bobby's, where she crossed paths with Carly once again. United by grief and shared recollections, the women realized they didn't need a holiday or a special occasion to honor someone they loved. Memory had its own rhythm. Back at the Brown Dog, the day's tributes began to converge. Sonny arrived, drawn by the sight of Lulu's car outside, and joined her and Tracy for another toast, another mixture of laughter and tears. Recalling a man who had left indelible marks on all their lives, Carly, Elizabeth, and Laura too felt the pull, messages and chance encounters guiding them to the bar. One by one, Luke's friends and family assembled, each carrying private memories, each bringing pieces of the larger story. Then came a spark of tradition. Sonny spoke of a ritual long held, a tribute of floating lanterns on the water. Tracy, practical yet deeply thoughtful, arranged it in minutes. Soon the pier glowed with golden lanterns drifting across the water, reflections shimmering on the faces of those who had loved Luke. Each lantern carried a wish, a whispered memory, a soft "see you later." Lulu, standing at the water's edge, spoke as if Luke were right beside her. It wasn't a goodbye, it was a promise. She would carry his memory, his lessons, his love. One last shared whiskey toast sealed their collective reverence, a ritual of gratitude, closure, and enduring connection. The evening rippled outward. Laura returned to her office to find an early birthday card for Aiden, its vintage car motif evoking Luke once more, a reminder that his influence lingered even in the smallest joys. Carly discovered the extra poker chip in her purse, its inexplicable presence offering comfort and evoking memories of laughter and secrets. Sunny's glance at Lulu and Tracy stirred quiet recollections of mischief, tenderness, and the dangers and thrills of days gone by. Even Elizabeth and Aiden felt Luke's echoes. Aiden's car obsession was more than teenage curiosity, it was a subtle reflection of the man whose life had inspired courage, adventure, and joy. Elizabeth noticed, recognizing that the lessons of Luke's life, love, loyalty, daring were still alive, quietly shaping the next generation. At the pier, the lanterns drifted on, the water mirrored their collective memories, shimmering like molten gold. Lulu whispered into the fog, "See you later, Dad?" "Always." The words mingled with the lights wrapping around her like a gentle embrace. Private reflections filled the night. Carly traced the railing, remembering laughter and secrets. Sonny tilted his head, recalling Luke's counsel and quiet wisdom. Tracy, ever vigilant, allowed herself to simply witness the beauty of memory in motion. Laura exhaled, tears glistening, thankful for a love that outlasted time. Back home, Lulu placed Luke's framed photo in a sacred spot. The poker chip she found, the token of luck, love, and guidance, sat beside it. Whispering softly, she breathed, "Thank you, Dad, for everything." It was gratitude for the past, for the legacy, for the love and courage that would continue to guide her. Port Charles paused, even if only for a heartbeat, in honor of the man who had touched every life within it. Friday's episode was more than a tribute. It was a celebration, a farewell, and a promise that Luke Spencer's spirit would endure. Every glance, every gesture, every flicker of candlelight reminded viewers and characters alike that love remains, memory heals, and those we hold in our hearts are never truly gone. As the lanterns floated into the night and the last toast faded into quiet reverence, life in Port Charles would resume its joys, heartbreaks, and triumphs. But now, every corner carried a little more light, a little more courage, a little more love. Luke Spencer lived on forever, in hearts both on screen and off, in stories, in laughter, and in memory. Friday's General Hospital episode was a masterclass in emotion, grief, and celebration, reflection, and forward motion, reminding us why we keep watching, why we keep loving, and why the stories of those we cherish continue to resonate long after the screen fades to black. Luke may have been gone, but his spirit, his laughter, and his love remain, flickering like candlelight and drifting like lanterns across the water, eternally part of Port Charles and our hearts.